at you and doing a little bit of a swapperoo instead at the moment here at Marketing 2.0 conference. And we are diving straight into our session at the moment, which is going to be on pitch for profit, converting leads into sales. For a business to remain profitable, its sales teams must master the subtle art of the persuasion and come up with new selling tactics. And a wonderful speaker is going to be sharing her fantastic insights. So I'd like you to welcome up to the stage Alafia Sura. She's the CEO of Rooftop Sales, Marketing and Management. Thank you so much, darling. I really appreciate it. You've no idea. I'm throwing you in at the deep end, and it's greatly appreciated. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Guys, we've got the video.
Yeah.
Testing times. The number one reason is that your business is not making enough revenue.
Start again.
Sales
Start
is
again
the
with this
lifeblood for any business. Are you guilty of laying off your people, especially in these testing times? The number one reason is that your business is not making enough revenue. Sales is the lifeblood for any business. And the truth is, most entrepreneurs are not good at selling. The truth is, sales can be tough, frustrating, maybe embarrassing. And why? Because 88% of CEOs and business owners have never professionally trained themselves in selling techniques. They rely on sales teams to drive their numbers. We understand your frustration. Today, after 20 years of hands-on selling experience and achieving more than $100 million in sales revenues, the 10x Sales Mastery for CEO and entrepreneurs has learned that sales is a game of numbers. Selling can be fun, and especially once you win, it's liberating, it's fulfilling, and very rewarding. Not just for you, also for your family and your employees. Good salespeople are the first ones to get hired. Good salespeople are the last ones to be fired. Our mission is to impact your life with a winning sales acumen. The proven 10x Sales Mastery for CEO and entrepreneurs will equip you with the perfect elevator pitch and positioning. It is backed with an intensive weekly accountability tracker that guarantees the performance to make your business revenues not only consistent but also predictable. So here is your challenge. If you want to get really rich, then train yourself in sales like your life depends on it. Because the truth is, your business surely does.
If you're losing money as a trader, here's why. Emotion.
So how many of you want to make a lot of income? How many of you want more clients and customers for your business? In our world of selling, sales equals income. This is what Blair Singer has really said. Sales equals incomes. Sales is the lifeblood of any business. And the fact is that you can have the best product or the best service in the world. But if you cannot onboard more customers and more clients to buy it and use it and, it's worth nothing. So if you really want to get really rich, You've got to understand the art of selling. I'm sure you're wondering, who me, and what authority do I have to speak on this topic? So very quickly, I am a global sales growth authority, have been in the business of selling since 18 years, crossed over $100 million in sales revenues, worked with, directly or indirectly, with some of the largest brands in the world. Currently the CEO of Rooftop Sales, Marketing Management, also a franchise owner of 10X CEOs. 10X CEOs runs on a platform of a global entrepreneur exchange, which helps businesses and entrepreneurs really scale and grow. Now, why a franchise? There's something about sales that all of you need to know. You can work hard and get customers one after the other, but guess what? 85% of businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years. Heard of that, anyone? But 92% of franchises succeed in the first year. So if you have to start a restaurant, what are you going to start? A McDonald's or a restaurant of your own name, xyz.com? So if you have to start into business and entrepreneurship, you've got to leverage. And sometimes a shortcut works better. So sales is not just about working hard. There are things like partnerships, collaborations. If you do that, it's called working smart. Today, I love to help businesses to win profitable clients and win it consistently, even in the toughest times. We are driven by a quantified sales target of going 2x of everyone's business within the first year, and you can go 10x in 5 years. We work on a multiplier effect of 2. This journey started at a very early age of 17, and this was the time when I started selling for a very simple thing of getting more pocket money for myself. And that's when sales came to rescue. Something that I really learned that time, it wasn't easy. And it started with in the 1990s, when we were in the world of pager and communication had just started. And that's when mobile phones were newly launched. This was the time when, big giants like Max Touch, which is Vodafone today, Airtel and BPL back in India, were fighting against each other to get each other's pie. And I got a little freelance job after school and after college that I could go on the streets and sell the Max Touch SIM cards. I only had to go and meet uncles and aunties on the street and tell them how Max Touch is better than the Airtels and the BPLs of the world, and how the others were not as good as what Max Touch could potentially be. Was it easy? Was it a segment? Was mobile phones a luxury, or was it a necessity? How easy could it be? Walking down the streets, toiling, when my friends could be working, playing, just studying for all you care. But me managing work with extra school classes and tuitions and homework, and then trying to get an extra buck. What I learned very early on is the simple thing about why people buy. And I learned there's only 2 reasons that anybody ever buys anything in the world. They want to go towards pleasure. That's where probably a mobile phone technology could come in. Or why do you need a Louis Vuitton? Or why do you need a Rolex? These are leisure products. Are these a necessity? Another way is to save yourself from pain. Which one is easier to sell? Pleasure or pain? Pain, right? Nothing matters. Both are equally good. It just depends on a different sales strategy. But you want to understand where are you addressing. And now, since we're all digital marketeers, you don't necessarily look at it for your own business. You could also potentially look at it for your client's business. Every client that you do a strategy for, you've got to ask this question. Are they a pleasure product, or are they a painkiller? And that's how your strategy should change. Now let me ask you quickly, what is your relationship with selling? If you love selling, put your hands up to the roof and say, love. If you hate selling, leave your hands down on the floor. If you're neutral, just show me some balloons in the air. If you're neutral, come on. Let me see. Up or down or neutral? How many of you think sales is not for you at all? Have you ever been a child? The best salespeople in the world are kids. They know exactly who is their customer. They know exactly what they can go to their parents for, to their mother, or to the father. Where they're going to get what out of from the grandfather. If you've ever been a child, you've been in sales. Anyone married? Anyone married? Great, you're in sales. Are you still married? You're an expert. You're a sales expert. So sales is like whether you have your own business or you have a partner or you want to become a leader, you're constantly selling yourself. If you've ever been employed, you are selling yourself. Sales is a life skill. 7 out of 10 people in the world are not directly into the profession of selling. Only 3 out of 10 normally are. But the point is that the other 7 who are not directly in selling are actually selling more than 50% of the time. Agree? Relevant? So who wants to know more? Sales is the #1 highest paying profession in the world. Even if you're an employee, even if you are a business owner. All the more if you're a business owner. I'm going to cover 3 points today. Clarity, cashment, and consistency. And never take sales for granted. Let's start with clarity. How many of you exactly know what revenue goals you want to do for 2022? 10%. How many of you had revenue goals for last year and achieved it? If you achieved it, put your hands up on the roof. If you didn't, put it on the ground. If you don't know, let's show some balloons. So achieved it. Super. So you all achieved some of it. So it's about 30% of the room that achieved the number. So how many of you actually want to make sure you never miss your number this year? How many are not going to raise your hand irrespective of what I say? Super. So #1 is know your numbers. Nothing happens without knowing your numbers. Now, I'm talking now to all of you as digital marketeers. I know we do this for our clients. How many do it for ourselves, for your own companies? So if you have the notepad in front of you, nothing we do in rooftop sales is theory or academic. Everything we do is practical. We work on real numbers, and that's the only thing we understand because we're salespeople who've created the company. We're not academicians or HR staff. So everyone, let's just quickly write down for your own business this year, what's the number that you're looking for? Annual number. What's the average price of your product? You can have 2 or 3 products. What's the average price of your product? And the quantity is going to come from dividing it by the number that you want. How many clients do you need? Now, one thing I really love about sales when I do sales training for my corporates is I need to move them away from the money part of it. Because it's the money that brings in a lot of stress on sales. Can we break it down to number and quantity of clients that we want? That's where your lead generation comes, right? Because we're talking about ROIs and stuff, but we're talking quantity. Can we talk quantity instead of revenues? So put your annual revenue goal, divided by the average product price. Let's divide it and get how many clients do you need. This is going to give you how many clients you need in a year. To get those clients, how many calls or emails or contact points or proposals do you need to send? And indirectly, what's your conversion rate? Can we quantify this to a number? Can we break this down to per day? This is where the magic lies. When you have this clarity on your wall that this is exactly the number of clients you want, and to get these number of clients, this is exactly the number of calls you need to make, that's when you start making your number and it never becomes something to miss. I'm telling you, when you're in an employment, would you keep your job if you didn't meet your number for 2 months? A salesperson? You could be the highest salesperson achieving in 2019. In 2020, January, you start with 0. You're constantly churning the wheel. Failing is not an option. How many of you agree? Failing is not an option. Let's give a high five to our clients and to our neighbors and say sales equals income. Let's just give a high five. Let's just wake this room up after lunch. Sales equals income, right? Sales is a game of numbers. Let's play to win. We all know our numbers now, I hope. Everyone knows how many clients you need and hopefully how many calls you need to make per day. Okay, break it down for per day. Number 2 is catchment. What's your go-to-market strategy? Who are you going to reach out? Let me ask this. How many of you do lead generation for your own business? Okay, let me change this question. How many of you do paid lead generation for your own business? Paid lead, half the hands went down. So we do it for our clients. You don't do it for yourself? Oh. Did you know an average buyer researches and consumes at least 10 to 12 pieces of content before making a buying decision? I'm sure your marketeers, we should know. Did you know only 13% of leads convert to opportunities? We're marketeers, we should know. It takes on an average 84 days. So from the time the lead is generated, even if you do paid or organic, today, it could potentially take 3 months to really convert into an opportunity where he says, I am interested and I want to know more. And that's how long your content needs to keep feeding and educating and nurturing the customer, right? And we know that, and you do that for your clients. Only 6% convert. That could potentially take another half month. So we're talking about 3 to 4 months when you actually convert a lead generated into monetized sale that comes into your client's pocket or to your own pocket. And I would encourage you to think about this for your own businesses rather than for your clients' businesses. Are we all together here? Brilliant. Webinars, anyone? Anyone does webinars or suggest your customers to do webinars as a sales conversion technique, the COVID style or working, the new fad? Webinars have the highest amount of conversion in terms of converting from leads to opportunities, but they don't actually become, they're the least converting sale, only 2%. So people come into webinars, that's a big catchment, but they don't necessarily convert into sales. So you gotta think what you do. The highest conversion is your website, and the second highest is social media. This is from Salesforce. So all those people who said you don't do paid ads or lead generation for your own business, let me ask you this question. How many of you depend on word of mouth? At least 80% and above of your business comes from word of mouth. 80% and above of your business comes from word of mouth. Look around, guys. I want you to see how many hands are up. Almost 80% of the room. Let me repeat the question. 80% and above of your business comes from word of mouth. There is a sales process funnel, and you do not skip steps in this. It starts with lead generation, which the marketing of the experts of the world do. Then it goes about qualifying and building rapport. NBAT is basically understanding if that person is worth calling back or not. Technically, we do not even meet a person until you know the NBAT qualifies. What is NBAT? Does he have the need? Does he have the budget? Is he the buying decision authority? And is he got the urgency and the time frame to buy within whatever time that you need? So unless all these 4 boxes check box, we do not even go to meet a person because it's not worth the time. Okay, so in Samsung, we used to do $1 million targets a week. You think I was meeting million customers? No chance, right? So if you really want to scale and do big, what is the way out? Then you do your presentation of your proposal, you do your price, product, market mix, and there's an entire science on each part of these. And then objections. How many of you think objections is a headache? You hate objections. Anyone who hates objections? Show me your hand. You all love objections? You guys have either never sold before or you guys hate objections, and most of the others? Depends. Objections is the best thing that can happen in a sales cycle. Objections, in other words, is feedback. You're getting feedback from your customer. Problem is when you normally send in a price proposal, 80% of the clients stop answering your call. Until you send the proposal, they call you every day. Isn't it? Where is your coat? But the minute you send the proposal, do they take your calls? How many know what I'm talking about? Right? Frustrating, right? You send them a quotation, it's like, you've had the big night and now you don't see me again. So objections could be a boon because they've at least given you feedback. Your price is high, I don't like your color, you're not good enough, whatever, right? So objections. And then you finally come to the closing, when you're finally talking about price, discussions, and this is how it typically goes. And then you have referrals, which is your word of mouth. So the problem is when it's not managed properly, this is what could happen. You don't have enough leads, you have no prospects, no conversions, no purchase, no revenue, no profits, no business, no retention, no referrals, and then the business starts going bust. So what from this do you think is the most important in a sales funnel, the most important to focus on? From these steps, what do you think is the most? You can just shout out, since we're a small room. Leads? Who else thinks anything else? Conversion rate, yeah? What else? This side of the table. Retention. Okay. So everything starts from leads. The minute you don't get leads in, everything starts drying out. And for the people who depend on referrals and word of mouth, it's the last pie on the triangle. So in Dubai, we say referrals is an inshallah strategy. In Ramadan, don't think you're going to get. In Christmas or Halloween or Diwali or Holi or anything, God bless your business. Which gets me to the next point, consistency. How many of you have a dedicated salesperson for your business? Very few. How many of you yourself is responsible for driving sales in your business? As a business owner yourself. Please look around. Almost 80% of the room. The self-employment trap. Most businesses normally do sales on an ad hoc, on a when I get time model, or when I don't have anything else model. Do you recommend this for your clients? When you generate leads and nobody calls them, do you think your client is going to like your service? Because they didn't call them. But are they going to blame you for not being able to generate leads that convert? Sales team. To convert a deal into a sale, it could take anything from 9 to 12 to 16 touch points. Is that worth your time? Seriously, is that worth your time? So a sales funnel, if you see, from the time the lead is generated to the second, which is building rapport, doing NBAT, to the third of doing objection handling, to the fourth of doing closing. Now, I'll tell you for the people who said you don't like sales, everybody is a born salesperson. But you may have certain characteristics which is higher than certain characteristics, which is lower. So some people who are aggressive closers may not be great at opening the deal. Some people are networkers. They can talk, meet friends, and immediately start getting inquiries. They can get into a room and know everyone else. They need not be best closers. Now, unfortunately, the industry normally has only one salesperson hired, and they expect him to do everything, including me. When I was an employee, we never had different categories, and that's sometimes why sales could suffer. So you as business owners, you need to understand there is a different trait, like a marketing. The guy who's going to do SEO is not going to be the best at Facebook paid marketing. The guy who does the websites is definitely not going to be very good at maybe, Instagram video editing or whatever, right? So there's a different skill set, you agree? And that's why nobody as a company could do the whole marketing function alone in-house. That's the reason they want to work with agencies, right? Because you get the best in everything. Which brings us to the point that you need to have a salesperson who is 100% focused on the sales activity of bringing your business constant leads. And then you punch in whenever you need it. But if those fourth and the fifth calls and the seventh call doesn't need your time, you get it done. And that's where a CRM comes in place. 55% of people making a living in sales don't have the right skills to be successful. There is no MBA in marketing which teaches you selling. Even the entrepreneurship classes, courses don't teach the subject of selling. Selling is taught so theoretically, and there's so much of theory and academics on it that no practical selling skills are given to anybody. I'm a triple postgraduate. But when I first started walking on the streets, I didn't have any backup in selling. But then you know what happens? When I was in India, before I got married, 17 years back, in India I had my college friends. I had my school friends. I was born and brought up there. I had a network. I was in Rotary, I was in whatever clubs, and I had that network. So when I had to go out and sell, I could use word of mouth, and I could have cross-referencing and things like that. But 17 years back, I got married, arranged married, moved to Dubai, get into sales, different cultures, different nationalities. Where would I get my word of mouth? I didn't even know my husband nor his family. It was arranged marriage. Would word of mouth work for me? And then what do? You go reading books and stuff like that. You start reading books, you start reading YouTube, you come for a session like this, and you think you can sell. Sales is a skill. It's a habit that you need to change. Unless you get your day rate of number of calls, unless you track it, and unless you see how you're doing on a weekly basis, guys, don't wait for the end of the year. It's too late. Don't wait for the end of the quarter. It's too late to repair. Look at it at the end of every day, and look at it at the end of every week. That's when your consistency will come. Because guess what? Consider yourself as employees. If your target you have raised for yourself, your annual revenue, if you don't get it for a month, consider yourself fired. Are we ready for doing this? Do we all promise ourselves if the number that you've written in your paper today does not come for the first month of April, you will either shut down your business or start taking sales seriously? Sales skills are life skills. When you start learning and you start creating and you start winning, it's like the vampire who tastes the first drop of blood. There is no going back. When you start winning at selling, you only want to do higher. I've done $100 million. I'm going forward to $1 billion sales. That's my next target. You will never, ever stop. Which gets me to the summary. You need to have your clarity. You need to have your catchment, your consistency, and sales equals income. Blessing. Do you agree more sales is equal to more revenue is equal to more income? What does more income mean for you? If you start achieving your targets and your numbers, when your numbers come and the revenue ticks in, how would life be? Take a moment. That extra income. Who said money is not for you? I love Bill Gates. Just before he got divorced, but I used to love him a little more. But when I was young, I thought money and power would make me happy. If Bill Gates thinks money and power makes him happy, who's you and me? I invite you to go deeper into perfecting your sales strategy, create your blueprint for winners, and enjoy the world of selling.
Any questions from the audience? Hello. Anyone want to ask anything? Yeah, Wilson. Can we send it out there? And then his wife divorced him and took half of everything. Bill Gates.
Just a simple question, because I'm pretty sure you get asked this a lot. What would be your secret coming from a sales agency? How do you sell to person without actually selling to them? Do you know what I mean? Oh, Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Thanks, Wilson.
It's very fumbled.
How do you sell to someone without them knowing you're actually selling to them? Like, what's your secret for that, coming from a sales agency?
It's a great question. How do you sell to someone without letting them know that you're selling something? Am I right? Well, sales is a very noble profession. It's actually a match of, firstly, nobody will buy from you if they don't know you as a person. People buy from people. People don't buy products and services. That's the reason when you're not involved in the sales cycle and you depend on salespeople, they take your business and go to another company, to the competition or wherever they go. So step one is always, if you saw this thing, you lead generate, but first one is building rapport. You've got to become a friend. You've got to understand what he is and what he's coming. And the best thing about sales is not selling. It's asking questions, understanding that person fully. So you just want to ask him questions. What is he doing? How do I know my need if he has the need? I'm going to have to ask him questions. I'll get AI. How do I know if he has the budget? I will see what is he buying. What did he use in the past? If he used a very cheap technology and you're selling the Salesforce SAP or something like that, but if he has used something very basic, then, or is he making as much revenue? Then you will know if he's got the budget. But the best thing about selling is not selling. It's about asking questions, understanding his problems, and, NLP sort of point of view. Because half the times when someone is telling me whatever his challenges are, I will say, yeah, and I have this to solve that, I have this. You don't start selling. Not until NBAT is completely done. Not until you know he can take a loan to buy your service. My proposals don't go to my customers until I know he's 80% sure. Because I know the minute I will send my proposal, I'm going to have to beg him to answer my call. So I'll rather delay my proposal, wait for him to get the other 3 quotes. When he's got all that, I'll go first and have a meeting and see what he's already got, what is he considering. Because I bid to win. I don't have time to send proposals. When I know he's going to take a loan to take a deal with me, when he's going to sell himself to buy from me, that's the time I get on board with him.
Thank you. And it's funny that you mentioned 80%. I mean, the 80%, 80-20 rule is, we also use that.
Yeah,
And
Pareto.
Okay. I think there was another question. Just really, really quickly, please, because we have to move on. Thanks.
Firstly, amazing presentation. A lot of things are relatable because something from my personal experience, when you said that you should have a salesperson who is going out getting sales for you. For example, in my case, a lot of times the way I would pitch my business or the way I would convey to a person that this is what I'm going to get for you, I don't know if there's this, of course you can train people and stuff, but is there something that, there's a certain template that you follow in terms of training when a salesperson come on board, so that you make sure that the same things that you would convey to your client directly is also being done by the people or your associates, or the quality is made sure. And also this latter part to it is that once that person has gotten somebody else on board, like in your company under your name, but it's them who's onboarded it being part of your company, how do you make sure that like the same thing that you mentioned, they don't run away with that client or they don't poach that client later? So that's also something that I fear sometimes in terms of adding any random, business development or sales team on board, because it's always a fear that this person is later going to just take the client and go.
I get you. How many else think the same? That your salespeople will take it away, and how do you make them say the same thing? That's where systems come in place. You first sit down and write down in a Word document everything that you're doing. We talk about scripts. Everything is scripted. Exactly what to say, what to not say, what to do, whatever. And same for all the other people in your company. Your SEO guys, your Facebook guys. Let them sit down and write exactly what they are doing. And that's how you make it as SOP. Then nobody is dependable on anybody. And then you have your CRMs that do the part, and whatever anybody said to whoever is recorded somewhere. And that's where systems come in place. Think about how Oracle became global. Is Larry still selling? He was the best salesperson in Oracle, right? But he's got to have done something. So digital marketing has gone beyond. So unless you do this, you're going to be in a self-employment trap.
keep a track of every conversation?
You use technology and systems, and you write SOPs, and you start recording things and stuff, and then it just becomes, you don't train the next person who comes. Just pick up the document, tell them read it, go through whatever. We do role plays at the end of the day. Or do sales trainings.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anafia Sura from Rooftop. Thank you so much, and thank you for doing a little bit of a swapperoo.